Rajesh sir.
Yes, Preetham.
So we can start. People may join in 2-3 minutes.
Okay, we can start.
Yes, sir. So dear participants, we have Mr. Rajesh with us. So Mr. Rajesh is engineer by profession, but he has 18 years of experience in design and thinking, and he used to create 3D models, 3D print. So you will have better experience with Mr. Rajesh. Uh, I am welcoming you with a green certificate, which is the initiative of the Jaipur Institute of Management. So we will
Okay.
plant a tree with your name, and you can locate your tree with this location. I will share this certificate with you. So welcome, Rajesh sir. You can start the session now. It is yours now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm pretty much sure that previous sessions you have enjoyed a lot related to design thinking. Now you are comfortable with how you can start thinking related to design. The overall topic of this FTP is how we can leverage latest technology similar to additive manufacturing, especially aligning with design, right? So I am here to take you this session, the deep sessions related to the additive manufacturing. Today is the first session, so we will be discussing about introduction of additive manufacturing, where I'm going to explain each and every details. What are the different additive manufacturing processes? How there are various steps involved. What are the prerequisites you need to have if you want to start 3D print or you want to manufacture any of the product through additive manufacturing. So let me start sharing my screen. So please let me know if you, I hope you can see my screen. Let's stop my video. Is my screen visible to all of you?
Yes, it is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Correct. So this is today's topic, introduction to additive manufacturing. So what I am expecting to all the participants, please, please respond time to time, whatever, if you're not getting any concepts or if you want me to repeat anything, please let me know. And whenever we are discussing, because the more open discussion forum it will be, the more beneficial it will be for all of us. Not only for you, but for me also. Because all of you are also seniors, so there may be a lot of new things I might be knowing from all of you, right? So before starting to the topic, let me tell you something about me and my company. I'm Rajesh Yadav. I'm working with the Autodesk education team from the last 3 years, and I'm taking care of this entire North India region for the latest technology implementation of different colleges, corporates, universities, engaging the students, how they can start learning the new things. Right. I am also associated with NESCOM as well as SAE Baha clubs and some other Formula One in schools concepts. So Autodesk, as you might know, I'm pretty much sure that many of you would be knowing about Autodesk. This is the company who develops all type of design solutions for all the fields, not only for the engineers, but we have separate segments for multimedia and animation. We have separate segments for architects, engineers of all domains. So this is the pioneer in developing all the designing solutions for all the fields. So I'm working with Autodesk company right now. So let me start with my first slide. Right. So before coming to the, let us discuss something about the background. Why we need to start adopting the new technology, because if you see this technology data, right, in every 7 years technology gets doubled. So there must be something, on the back end or the background, why we need on the daily basis, we need different new technologies are coming. So the first point is coming. The first thing is more is inevitable. Whether we want it or not, we need more things. If you see, the population is increasing, with respect, not only with respect to the populations, but majority of population is now moving towards urban areas. So they need a lot of things. Lot of more is inevitable. That's why it is said every day we are requiring more things in terms of products, in terms of services, in terms of businesses, in terms of infrastructure. Everything we need more, and we cannot change it because that is the demand of the time, right? And on the other hand, what is the reality? Less is a reality. If you need the more number of population is coming to the urban areas, so they need more number of resources, more number of services, products, everything. But if you're talking about the resources, so we are less in terms of the resources, demand and supply, right? So less is a reality in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the number of products, in terms of the number of resources, whether it is natural resources or artificial resources. But we are always in demand of the more things because more is demanding. Right? So with respect to these 2 points, what is coming? The next point is coming. Since resources are less and the demands are high, so there is always opportunity for it. Is there any way we can adopt new technology so that we can customize our things? Because now this is the era of customization. Everyone wants to buy or want to use customized items, customized product as per their needs. If you see, because everybody has a different choices, right? I want this type of mobile which is having these features. I want this type of system which is having these features. I want this type of bike. I want this type of shoes. No matters what is the product, whether it is consumer goods, whether it is industrial product, whether it is household appliances, whatever, everywhere it is coming with the customization. But if you see the traditional way of manufacturing, so that is very difficult to complete all these demands. That's why there is always a opportunity for new technologies and for learning the new technologies and the implementation of the new technologies in terms of how we can fill the gap of this demand and supply. So keeping all these things in mind, there is a technology, though it is not a new technology, but yes, in India it is a little bit delayed. Now Indian industries are also started using it. So what is the technology? The technology which is going to talk about, that is nothing but the additive manufacturing or 3D printing, which is a very common name. What actually is the 3D printing? See, if I tell you as per the standards, International Committee, ASTM, they have defined this additive manufacturing in a very simple way. There is a process of making using digital 3D data to create any type of material, any type of product by layer deposition. You can see in the bottom of my slide, there is a single line written. What you see is what you build process. Because in traditional approach, you cannot build anything because there are a lot of constraints, a lot of parameters, a lot of prerequisites you need. But now things are becoming so easy. If you can see anything, if you can make, if you want to draw anything, as whatever how much creative you can do in terms of the products, as per your requirements, whether it is industrial product, consumer goods, whatever it is. So whatever you can see, now you can build it with the help of this new technology. And this is based on very natural process. As you can see, the nature has its own process to building something. That's why it is also biomimic the process. It is not something like you have created one object, you have removed some material and then it gets converted into the final product. This additive manufacturing, where We are depositing the material layer by layer and trying to come up with the final product. You can refer the name additive manufacturing, means material is going to add. We are not going to subtract any material from the workpiece. We are going to add material layer by layer, and whatever is the order, yes, there is a prerequisite that he must have one 3D CAD data file, which we will be covering in the next few sessions, because thinking is that now we are focusing on the design in the coming few sessions, so that we can club together and we can design and make any of the product, whatever you want to create. For that, there is no pre-qualification is required. You can think. If you are creative, you can think, you can draw anything. And the same thing you can design. There are a lot of technologies available, open source technologies, free of without any investment. You can start doing experiments and you can create whatever you want. This is the basic definition of additive manufacturing, which is in short forms we normally refers as AM. That is nothing but the additive manufacturing. Synonymous word is 3D printing also. So only thing is we need 3D design data, and just we can create that part by adding the materials layer by layer, and we can build whatever we want. Now, next slide. A little bit more in detail. This additive manufacturing is also known as rapid prototyping, because if you see this previous prototyping model, whatever you want to design, then you need to have some raw material. Then there is a constraint of manufacturing. This you cannot manufacture with this material. But here, everything is you can do with the help of this proper 3D printing machine. Rapid prototyping is nothing but the process of rapidly creating a system or a part. That may be a single component, that may be a a complete assembly, complete working model. Whatever you want, you can easily manufacture this. The basic principle of this technology is only you need to have a 3D design, 3D CAD. I'm sure you must be knowing about CAD, computer-aided design, where a lot of technologies are already available for use, especially for students as well as the educators as well as the hobbyist people. And if you can create that 3D CAD file, you can design something easily. You can create that part with the help of editing. And the best part is you do not need to do any process planning. You only need to have a CAD file and additive manufacturing machine. You can easily create. Yes, there is a small steps of procedures which you need to understand, and then you can use it. Right. So at the end of the workshop, at the end of this session, maybe on day after tomorrow's session, I will be giving you one activity where you can think something, whatever you want to think, right? You can design. I'll explain some basic design procedures also in any of the demo. So you can come up with the final design, and then on last day of this session, where I'm going to teach you the another latest thing, that is how artificial intelligence is coming into the picture of design thinking, and especially in terms of additive manufacturing. And then if you want me to 3D print your design, because I'm having the 3D printer, if you are able to design something as per your requirement, we will be ready to 3D print that model, and I'll also showcase that part. But that is going to happen in the last day, right? So first we need to focus to understand what is this entire procedures, what is the prerequisites we need to know, and what is the different technologies, whatever the technologies you want to use, you can use it, right? Meanwhile, in any of these slides, if you have any questions, please let me know. If you see this additive manufacturing, there are various often used terms I have already mentioned, so that there should not be any confusion when these different terms are coming to you, like additive manufacturing, additive layer manufacturing, additive digital manufacturing. All these are synonymous words, which is directly related to the 3D printing or additive manufacturing. Then As I already told you, process involves a lot of layer by layer deposition of materials to get the final product. So these layer-based manufacturing can also be called layer-oriented manufacturing or simple layer manufacturing. Because in terms of prototyping, if you want to prototype in a faster way, if you want to do a lot of iterations while prototyping, then this rapid term is also being used in this. Like rapid technology, it is, you can create rapid prototyping, or you can do rapid tooling, rapid manufacturing. Since all of things are doing into the digital environment, so this can also be treated as a digital fabrication, digital mockup, 3D printing, 3D modeling, direct manufacturing, and direct. These are the very often used terms. Whenever you heard these terms, you can directly relate to these terms with the additive manufacturing. This is nothing. This is all these terms are synonymous to each other. Right? Let's move to the next slide. So as I already discussed, there are various type of prototyping, like traditional prototyping or rapid prototyping, or you can refer this to as additive manufacturing also. What is the difference? Right? If we know the difference, if you go for traditional and conventional prototyping, then that process is considered as the subtractive manufacturing. Means I already have a work piece and I need to design something very creative out of that work piece. Then I need to cut out the materials from different portions by removing the material. Or I want to remove the unwanted material, then only I can, get the final product. While in additive manufacturing, since the term refers to additive, you do not need to have a block or raw material. Raw material is needed, but not in the block form, because we are going to melt this material and pasting the layer by layer and get the final product. So rapid prototyping refers to additive, while traditional and conventional prototyping refers to the subtractive type of prototyping method. Rapid prototyping controlled mostly by machines, softwares, less human interactions. Yes, human interaction is needed only in terms of when you want to take decisions, like what is my layer thickness, how much material I want to fill in that particular model. In that decision-making process, only human interaction is needed. While in traditional convention, everywhere, most of the processes, more human interaction is needed, because that depends on the human expertise. Because if you see the different plants of the industries, there are various plants, like painting shop is there, assembly shop is there, manufacturing of piston is there. So all these and all specific human resources are being used in the separate departments. So in traditional, more human interaction is needed, while in rapid, most of the things done by the machines and software. In rapid manufacturing, models are created faster, especially in terms of iterations you want to. Because in traditional, more human interaction is needed, and how many different designs can be made with one human being or with one team of designers. While with the help of these technologies, you can do a lot of iterations. Like you can change, because everything is going to happen in the digital form. You are not going to waste any of it. So in terms of iterations, whenever it is needed, rapid prototyping is always. Then rapid prototyping is cleaner in process, less dust and waste, because we are not doing anything big, like CNC machine is not going to operate, or any other different machine. So this is cleaner the process. There is a specific 3D printing machine. We need to give the input, and it will start creating the 3D model, and you can take it out. While in traditional, you need to understand the design constraints. You need to understand what are the facilities I'm having to create that part. Then only you can create that part. Otherwise, you need to outsource your design to manufacture that. That is again a time constraint. While in rapid prototyping, since iterations are different, difficult shapes can be built, because there is no specific machines is required. Like if I want to create a very complex shape, then you can easily build with the help of additive. While in traditional prototyping, it is getting very difficult because might be your machine is not compatible, your CNC machine, because every machine is having different configuration. That may be 2x milling machine or 3-axis machine or multi-axis machine, that depends. So difficult shapes, you can actually use your creativity. That's why whenever it is coming to the customization part, so this additive manufacturing is very beneficial for you. You can do a lot of customization while creating a part as per the customer's demand. So this is the difference between rapid and traditional prototype. Rapid refers to additive, while traditional refers to subtractive. I know this is quite lengthy in text, so I will try to represent this in a pictorial view so that it will be easy for you to understand, which is in this slide. See, there is a material stock, then subtractive manufacturing, CNC or any other machine. We are going to remove the material and then we are going to get this manufacturing part with a lot of wastage, because waste is again a very big parameter in terms of industrial usage. Now we are facing a lot of problems. That's why whenever you are thinking about something new, everybody is talking about the sustainable design in terms of anything. That may be products, that may be process, that may be companies. Sustainable means if I'm able to create a part where I can increase the lifespan of that part, definitely we are going to reduce the wastage, total wastage. Then automatically we can because again resources are less, so we need to cope up with the existing resources, natural resources. So in subtractive manufacturing or traditional prototype, after creating the part, you will be getting a lot of waste. Then again, you need, if you want to reutilize that those waste, then you need to set up a different set of machines so that you can use that waste and create something else. While in additive manufacturing, we have material in different forms, like that may be in the powder form, that may be in resin form, polymers, that may be in wire form, or that may be in metal form. And we are going to create the parts, adding the materials layer by layer. Very less waste you are getting if you are going to apply this additive manufacturing for creating the different designs. So that is the major difference in terms of the wastage, in terms of the how you can customize the usage of your raw material. So additive manufacturing is always a preferred choice. But yes, there are constraints. There are something, every process has pros and cons, which we are going to discuss in the coming slides. This is the basic difference between subtractive and additive manufacturing. Hope it is clear to you with this image. Now, if I'm taking an example, a real-time example, for example, if you want to create this very simple shape, it's nothing but a cup, with the help of subtractive manufacturing. What are the different challenges you are going to face? Because if you know the challenges and if I know how to overcome these challenges, then it will be easy for us to select any of the. So challenge number one, you can see the cavity in this cup. This cavity here is too deep to machine because I need to have a very specific tool which can go inside and create this cavity. Initially, you can imagine this is nothing but a rectangular block, raw material. Out of that block, I need to create this stuff with the help of subtractive. So this is the challenge number one. The cavity here may be too deep to machine, and the undercut here cannot be performed without 3-axis machining, because the shape, if you see the profile from top to bottom, the profile is getting changed at every point. Then also you need to see the capability of your CNC machine, whether it is 2-axis, 3-axis or multi-axis. Base feature, we cannot machine because ultimately we need to fix the overall block to the fixtures. Once Block is already fixed at the bottom, then base feature cannot be created. Tool will not go to that part. Then again, we need to reverse this entire block. It is a time consuming process. We have to select another tool and then we can manufacture or we can machine that bottom part. The last one is sharp internal features cannot be machined because tool must be having some dimensions. That operation cannot go beyond those dimensions. So if you want to, give some specific precise fillet or some corner shapes, some round shapes, then either you need to develop a new tools or maybe you will be facing a lot of challenges with the tool radius. Cannot be machined without a tool radius. So all these challenges, whenever it comes to the different, creative designs, then it will be, you will be facing a lot of challenges while using these substrate. Now, if the same thing I can create with the help of additive manufacturing, which is also known as 3D printing, rapid prototyping, preformed application, layer by layer. Now you can see this image. This is my output, and you can see these two different images. Right? At the bottom, there are two different images, and I hope you can see the difference. Because why smoothness is not there in the left-hand side object, while the right-hand side object is more clear, more smooth, because that customization you can do while in the additive manufacturing process. You can decrease or increase the layer thickness. The more closer will be the layers, the more smooth objects you will be. But yes, time depends on the number of layers. Because more number of layers, yes, machine need to operate for the more longer time. Then only you can get. But yes, you can create without any challenge. Whatever the shape you want to create, you can create with the help of additive. Right? I hope it is clear. Now, how this additive manufacturing evolved? As I already told you, this is not a new technology. This is quite old technology. It started in 1980s. Then industries has adopted this technology slowly and slowly. You can see this entire timeline, present and potential future additive manufacturing development and applications. 1988 to 1994, rapid prototyping has been started with different name technologies, which I'm going to cover in the next two slides. Then 1994, rapid casting they have started. 95, rapid tooling. 2001, they have started additive manufacturing for automobile components. Then 2004, they have started aerospace using polymers. 2005, they have started this technology using in the medical innovation fields. Right, then 2011 again aerospace, but this time not polymers. This time they have started doing experiments with metals also. Now, right now there is no industry which have not adopted this additive manufacturing process. Now NASA is, because if I take the example of NASA, whenever there is a part failure in the space station, what they can do? What are the different options they can do? They can create the same component here in the Earth and they can send it to the space station. Then they can that component can be replaced or repaired. How much time and how much money is involved in this process? But with the help of this technology, what they are doing, they have already kept one 3D printer at this space station. Whenever there is a fault, they are going to design something here. And digitally, it can be transferred to the display station. They can print that part and they can start using it. That depends on the use. So each and every industry is now using this additive manufacturing process. You can see this 2013 to 2032, they are now working on the full body organ centimeter. In case you want to replace the different organs of the body. skins, tissues, they have already done. Even if you see this architecture, yes, there are, I am not sure whether you have seen that video. I'll show you in the last session. IIT Chennai, they have created the entire house, entire 2 BHK or 1 BHK house with the help of 3D. Yes, 3D printer size is big, but yes, they can use they have used the same technology to create the entire house. Biomedical implants. So this is the entire timeline when it has been started and what is the future goals. So everywhere this technology is getting around. No matters whatever is the field, whatever is the requirement. Even in Armory also, you can create the entire system working model with 3D. That is also a case study. Right? So let's move to the next slide. Current and potential industries, as I already discussed, you can see whether it is aerospace, electronics, sports equipments, toys, prosthetics, surgical devices, even jewelry design, automobile, furniture, whatever the field you can think of, everywhere this technology has already been adopted. Correct? So that depends. Yes, there might be some different requirements, right? I currently I'm using a 3D printer with limited material facilities like ABS plastic or some plastic materials that can also be used. But currently in industries, metal 3D printer is also where you can create the entire metallic part with the help of this additive manufacturing process. So requirement may be different, then you have to work with a different machine, but the process will be the same. Next, coming to the next slide. What is the adoption of rapid prototyping by the industries? You can see this graph. Motor vehicles, 31.7%. Consumer goods, 18.4%. Medical machines, 11.2%. Similarly, you can see this academic as well as aerospace. Academic is being used by 8.6% because that is also a very good, opportunity for the students to work on the new different innovations. Whenever they want to create a real-time model, they can manufacture all these things with 3D printer and they can start working. Otherwise, it is very difficult to create a prototype with the traditional approach. And not only the single part, that is the best feature of this additive manufacturing process. Not only the single part you can manufacture, you can actually manufacture the entire assembly, working assembly, with all the joints and everything. But yes, there are some points which you need to keep in mind, that there should be minimum gap, there should be minimum layer thickness, gap should be there. Then only joints, you can see all those motions in the joints. So you can see this is the entire rapid prototyping adoption by the industries, and it is increasing day by day. So not only the automobile, medical, academics, aerospace, armory, everywhere it is being used as the latest technology. What are the different advantages of additive? Because this is the important slide we need to discuss. First point is elimination of design constraints. Design constraints means you can see the different, I'm sure if you discuss with this design process with any of the product designers, they will be working on a lot of conceptual sketches and a lot of different materials to create their prototype models. Design constraints means whenever you go to the manufacturing site, manufacturing machines are having limitations. Okay, this type of the design cannot be manufactured with the CNC machine, or this type of shape, we only create this shape with the help of plastics. But this type of design constraints is not applicable in terms of additive. Whatever you want, you can design. We can print that model. No issues. Allow parts to produce with complex geometry with no additional cost. Because whenever you go, okay, this is the simple table, so definitely you will be getting some cost. The moment you will try to use some creativity, okay, I want some this designer table, so definitely cost is going to increase. But that is not going to happen in this process. Whatever the complex geometry you can design in any of the CAD platform, that complex geometry can be 3D printed with any of the manufacturing machine. Right? So flexibility is design, build speed. Whenever you want to do iterations, you can do the iterations and you can start 3D. No expensive tooling requirements. Like as I already told you, if you want to get very good finished model through CNC machine, then you need to have a very specific tools available for finishing. Roughing operation is different. Okay, you only need to remove the material, you have to. But what about the surface finish? Then there is a specific expensive tools are available. So no expensive tooling requirement in terms of additive manufacturing. Only thing is you need to increase the number of layers. You need to increase the number of layers while printing so that automatically it is going to smooth out. Dimensional accuracy. Yes, whatever you want to design with the designing softwares, you can always apply the proper dimensions. And the same dimension object you can create with the help of 3D. Not only the same dimensions, if you have created a box of, let's say, 100 by 100 mm, and later on you decided, I want to print it 3/4 of it size, or I want to scale it, that option is also available. So single part you can create and you can give the different scale factors and you can create a number of parts with one go. You do not need to design wide range of materials. Now, since many of the industries have started adopting it, so many of the research has already been done for different materials. Like it started with polymers. Now ceramics is also involved, metals is also involved. Almost there are various type of materials available through which you can print whatever you want to. Well suited to the manufacture of high value replacement and repair parts. As I have already given you the example of NASA. So where high value replacement is needed, you want to repair the parts, you can easily manufacture. You do not need to dependent on the traditional approaches. And since this is the process where you can customize, you can control the wastage of your material, so definitely it is a green, it is also called green manufacturing. Clean process with minimal waste. So these are the major advantage of additive manufacturing. Now, not only the advantage, yes, there are some limitations also. Because as I already told you, every process has its own process points. So you can see the limitations, part size. This is the first one. Right now, the 3D printer which I'm using, the dimension of the 3D printer is, the printing area is for my 3D printer is 200 mm, 200 mm. So if in case I want to create a part bigger than those dimensions, then what are the different options I'm having? I need to divide that part into segments, then only I can print it. And later on after printing, I need to use some adhesive to paste those different parts. So part size, yes, obviously. That depends on the machines. Printing area, like as I already told you, IIT Madras has created a 3D printing house. So that 3D printer is quite big in size, then only you can think about the printing of the house. So part size is proportional to the printing area. What is the printing area you have? Production series, since it's a time-taking process. It is adding layer by layer, and it is pasting layer by layer. Then, so time is taking so much for creating any smaller object. So that's why this is not relevant for mass production. If you want to do experiments, you want to do innovations, that can be done. But for mass production, yes, as of now, it is not recommended. But yes, as you can see, for a small size part series of 25,000 parts per year are already possible, but not more than that. Then the next limitation is material choice. Though there are various materials available, but still, there are some materials which is non-weldable metals. Then non-weldable metals cannot be processed by this additive, because we cannot build them, because the entire process is we are going to heat the metal, we are going to melt the metal, then automatically layer by layer is going to add. If it is a non-weldable metal, obviously it cannot be processed with AM process. Then we can think about the output, because it's layer by layer pasting. So you can see the density of 99.9% can be achieved, but still layer by layer is there. There can be some residual internal processes. So strength wise, as I already told you, can control the layer thickness. You can control the material filling in 3D. So there is always chance to have some residual internal processes, which ultimately going to affect the strength of it. These are the small limitations of it. But yes, a lot of things are going to happen very soon. These limitations will also be able to overcome, as I already discussed this production series. 25,000 parts is possible in a year. But yes, let's see, in coming years, we will be in a position to create 50,000 or maybe 1 lakh or 1 lakh 50,000 parts. That depends on the usage. These are the limitations. So in case you are having any doubt, because I hope I'm not going very fast and you are getting all the points, in case you are having any doubt, you can discuss. I'm ready to answer. And if you're getting everything, please unmute or give me some response, yes or no.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, whether the glass products can be 3D printed?
Which product, sir?
Glass.
Glass.
Yes, sir.
Glass product.
Yes, sir.
Sir, once metal can be printed, then see only once I'll come to the entire process, then you will come to know. Then you will automatically get the answer.
Okay, sir. Okay. Yes, yes, sir. Okay. And one more question, sir.
Yes.
So you are telling that this 3D printing can be done with a software. So with which software is in present use?
Sir, I will come. That is the question of the next sessions. So once I will explain the entire process, I will tell you the technologies also.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Yes. Okay.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes,
can I
please.
ask?
Yeah.
Okay, sir. So in the last slide, you have written that non-weldable metals cannot be processed by this kind of manufacturing. But sir, if we talk about like previous slide, you have written that ceramic can also be used to manufacture these kinds of products. So ceramic is non-weldable. So can you just explain?
See, that depends on the number of. That depends on the usage. What I'm telling you. Non-weldable metals, difficult to weld alloys requiring specific approaches. That depends on the output you want. That depends on the, what strength you want in your product. Accordingly, there is a process to select your material type also and your manufacturing process also, because there are a lot of additive. This is whatever the discussion is going on. I'm talking about 3D printing, but 3D printing is also categorized in some other segments also. Okay, I'll come to that part. Let me show you that slide, then it will be easy for you to understand. So let me go see. if you go for the classification of additive manufacturing process, this is also divided into two parts, whether it is material addition or material removal. So if
Okay,
you
sir,
go
got
for,
it.
yeah,
Got
once
it,
you
sir.
go
Thank
for
you.
this LOM, laminated object manufacturing, then it is very much important to select the proper material which can be welded together.
So there's one more question.
Yes, please.
Sir, what do you suggest the products that require higher strength? Like if we talk about furniture can be constructed through this. So the products that require higher strength.
Hmm.
Furniture always require, very that should be very sturdy type. So can this kind of manufacturing be done in this case?
Yes, definitely. As I already told you, you have option to control the material filling inside. Like suppose you are going to create a just you are going to showcase your model. You are not going to function. You are not going to make that model functional, right? You only want to showcase your model. As I already told, that it's a time-taking process, and you want to build it, print it in a lesser time. Then you can control the material filling inside. You can print your entire model with 20% of material. Then definitely strength will not be there. This is only covering the outer part. The inner part will be hollow. But if you're talking about the strength, yes, then in that case you have to choose 100% filling material, so that each and every part is going to filled by the material. Then automatically your strength will be. See, if you see this last line, the density is 99.9% can be achieved, which is close to 100.
Yes, sir.
So you will be getting a good strength. No issues.
So there's one more question.
Yes, please.
Sir, if anyone else wants to ask, then I'll ask you.
No, you can go ahead.
Acha. Sir, so the question is, as you said, that this kind of manufacturing can be used to for the innovation for developing the prototype.
Hmm.
Okay, so that means small scale manufacturing, and here we are referring this as, a good point is that we avoid wastage, right?
Yes, yes.
So these two things go in hand in hand. But when suppose my prototype is good and everything is fine, and I want to go for mass manufacturing, then again I'll be going back to the same processes that would be done by traditional machines, and the wastage and everything will be more.
Right. Not
So
wastage, not wastage. See, I'll tell you the entire procedure of manufacturing, design and manufacturing. See, design needs a lot of iterations, and the maximum time the wastage is going to happen during the iteration process. Once you have already come up with your final design stage, then you can decide which is the best manufacturing method suitable for your design for mass production. Getting my point?
yes, sir, got it, got it.
See, as I already told you, series up to 25,000 parts can be achieved.
Yes, sir, I can see that.
But if you are trying to prototype your model with traditional approaches, you are going to iterate your model with traditional approaches, then in that case, there will be a lot of wastage.
Got the point, sir. Thank you.
Any other question from anyone? Okay, let's move to the next slide. Now I'm going to explain you what is the generic process of additive manufacturing. You can see this entire process where 8 steps are being involved. 1, 2, 3. First step is called CAD. Yes, you need a 3D digital file. Then STL. Okay, we'll discuss this one by one. This is the 8 steps involved in additive manufacturing. First one is conceptualization that you can do with the help of 3D sketching and CAD. Conversion to STL. STL is the specific file format which is accepted by all the 3D printing machines. And now each and every designing technology is having the capability you can directly either export or you can save your file in STL format. So this is Very important point. Whenever you want to do 3D printing, you need to have that file into STL format. Then you need to transfer and manipulation of STL file on machine. You have to do machine setup, build, part removal, clean up, post processing of part, and then you can start it. So I'm going to explain one by one and a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So this Fusion 360 we are going to use. So if you want to use any other technology, you are free to use. The only objective is we need to come up with the design CAD data CAD file, and then we can start doing the procedure of 3D. So there are many ways to how to 3D source data can be created. If you want, you can use, if you want to create any creative design by your own, you can use any of the designing softwares. If you want to get the CAD file, standard CAD file, then there are some standard sites also available. You can download those CAD files or STL files from there also. So first requirement is CAD. Second, STL, conversion to STL. As I already told you, every software is having the facility now. You can save that file into STL format, or you can export your file. This STL is derived from the stereolithography, which was the first, first process in terms of additive manufacturing. I'll tell you in the details. Right? So STL is a simple way of describing a CAD model in terms of its geometry alone. It is not going to capture the entire history. STL file means, I'll show you the difference. STL file means your entire model will be divided into n number of triangular shapes, facets. The model will be series of triangular facets. So that is, and the process of converting to STL is automated with most CAD systems. Right? So it's a very simple process. You can create your model, just either export or save it into STL format. What is the difference? See, this is your CAD model, left hand side. Once you will export this model into STL format, you can see the visual effects in the STL format. This entire model has been divided into triangular facets. So just by the visualization, you can see this is the STL file and this is the simple CAD file. Then transfer to additive manufacturing machine and STL file manipulation. I have created the part, right? Let's take this example. So I have designed this cup and I have already exported this STL format. Then I need to give this STL format to any of the machine setup or you can see that is the slicing tool. Somebody was asking which technologies we have. Slicing tool is also available. Many of the open sources are available, like Cura and some other slice tool or something like that. So we need to manipulate this STL file in terms of orientation, how it is going to print. See, this is the correct position. If you see the right hand side, this is the correct position for print. It is going to print the like the bottom is getting the upper portion, and in between it is going to print the handle part. But suppose while creating a model, you have chosen different planes and it is coming in the horizontal direction. Then that manipulation you have to STL file manipulation. That needs to be done into the any slicing tool. You need to orient your model with the proper way, how you want to print that model. Otherwise, what will happen? You cannot print this model while taking the base of the handle. Not possible. Either you can print in this direction, or you can just reverse the direction 180 degrees. This should be print first, and later on it is coming in this direction. So you need to understand the orientation part, which is very easy. How it is going to print with the help of any slicing tool. Then machine setup. Machine setup means you need to understand which type of material you are using. What is the melting temperature of that material? What is the bed temperature you need to maintain throughout the process? And what is the layer thickness, or what is the nozzle thickness is coming? So all these things you can do with the machine setup. It's not a very very difficult thing, because whenever you are using any machine, there is a proper machine manual is available, which is giving, and while purchasing the material also, all the material properties will be giving in that. This is the melting temperature. If you want to print it, you need to set this bed temperature. We need to do this machine setup. And once everything is done, then you simply need to give this STL file to the printer, and the process switches to the computer control building phase. It will start printing. You can see this entire bars has been printed from the bottom to the top side. Only Z direction. This entire bed is moving up and down, and it will start printing. Right? All the machines will repeat the process until either the build is complete or there is no source material. Printing will be continue until unless your model is going to complete, or if material is going to end, then only it will stop. Otherwise, it will continue. And once it is done, you can easily remove, because there will be a sheet on the top of the bed where printing is going to happen. You need to remove your part with any sharp object, right? And later on, you need to removal of the part. And if some extra support is provided by the machines, some extra material, very few waste materials available, then you can clean it that way. This is the step number 6. Then post process. See, if you want to, this is the printed output, and after finishing means there will be some additional layers, there will be some additional materials, because ultimately from nozzle it is coming continuous material in the liquid form, solid liquid, semi-liquid form. So maybe in some points the material density is high. You want to remove it just to make it more smooth. You can this may involve abrasive finish like polishing and sandpapering. That you can do in the post process, and then after that your part is ready to use. So these are the basic 8 steps, complete 8 steps to go for the entire 3D printing, where the important step is the first one, where you want to design something in the CAD platform, for which we are going to use Autodesk Fusion 360 in the next few sessions, how you can come up with the design as per your requirement. Later on, we will export that file into STL format. Then we will set the orientation, right? We will set up the machine. The machine setup is only for one time. If you are not changing the material, then everything is going to be by default. Like I am having ABS plastic, then ABS plastic settings I need to do only one time, and later on I can keep on giving the print commands. And I will print my model, removal of my model, then some post-process operations, and my model is ready to use. I hope this entire procedure is clear, starting from 1 to 8. Is there any doubt or anything you want me to repeat? Please let me know. These are the steps of additive manufacturing process, starting from the CAD file, STL, then STL manipulation, machine setup, building of your or printing of your part removal and cleanup, and then post processing, and then application. Any doubt is there? Anyone? I hope no, because this is a very simple procedure. I have intentionally given these steps so that it will be easy for us to understand. I hope it is clear. Please say yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So let's move to the classification. Let's move to the classification of additive manufacturing process, rapid prototyping. Because there are various processes, because it's, as I already told you, it's not the new one. This is the old technology. Now the evolution is going to happen. So basically, rapid prototyping is divided into two parts: material addition or material removal. Also, there is a additive manufacturing process where we have to remove the material. And that process is called LOM, laminated object manufacturing. Anyways, we will come one by one. So material removal, material addition. What are the different materials? Either in the liquid form or in the discrete particles or solid sheets. This is also material addition, but we have to remove some extra materials also. Then similarly, my processes are going to define. So let me go to the next slide. There are basically 4 types of manufacturing processes, starting from the liquid polymer system, which is the first one in terms of additive manufacturing. Then discrete particle system, molten material systems, which is most commonly used, that is called fused deposition method, FDM, and solid sheet system. As I already told you, this is the LOM, laminated object. Right? Let's go for one by one. What is the first formation system? Was the 3D system stereolithography process based on liquid photopolymers. See, if you see this block diagram, there is a tank, right? And there is a UV curable resin available, and we are going to insert this laser, and laser, with the help of ultraviolet rays, we are going to solidify some of the portions as we have designed, and we are coming to the final output. And this black portion is nothing but the movable build weight form. Once it is done, you can move it up and you can remove the part. The liquid is converted into solid state. This is liquid based RP system. Initial form of its material. This process is called stereolithography process. This is with the help of this block diagram. Let me go to the next slide. So here is a small video I have intentionally kept put in this slide so that we can understand the entire process. I hope you can see
from an extrusion-based machine.
sound.
Let's start by taking a closer look at the printer. When we open up the light blocking cover, we can see a build platform inside. This metal plate is where the parts are made. Underneath the build platform is a resin tank. This clear window gives the ultraviolet laser a path to cure the resin. To start a print, we'll upload a file and fill up the resin tank to the indicator line. You can see the laser passing back and forth inside, hardening the liquid plastic. We'll take our printout and wash it in rubbing alcohol to get the excess resin off. The flower comes with supports on it, and we'll snip them off to finish the piece. Stereolithography is known for producing extreme detail with layers down to 4 times finer than a human hair. The Form 1 Plus lets us take advantage of a library of materials, so we made some other parts to show what these resins can do. A castable resin gives jewelers and engineers an inexpensive way to produce metal parts. This flexible resin is great for simulating different textures, and as we can see, this tough resin can really take a hit. Now let's compare how the Form 1 Plus parts stand up against a filament printer. The stereolithography part comes out nice and smooth, but we can see and feel the ridges on the cup printed with filament. When we break this sample piece, you can see that filament parts quickly snap along the layer lines. The SLA process creates a chemical bond, so our prints take much more force. Today, we took a look at how stereolithography printers work, the types of resins they can print with, and what makes the parts stand out against other desktop machines. If you liked our intro to stereolithography 3D printing,
right? Have you seen this video? Small video, how we can solidify the liquid resin into the solid models just with the help of UV light. Yes. Now the next procedure is discrete particle system. Now, if you see this block diagram again, we are having the, in the powder form, we are having this raw material in the powder form, and we are rolling down these powders in a over the piston, and then again UV lights at a specific powders is going to melt together and coming up with the final output. This is called selective laser sintering process. The final particles are the better, because if you take some coarse particles, then definitely there will be finishing will not be the final, right? So let me go to the next slide. Can anybody confirm? Are you able to hear the sound of this video or not?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Yes, sir, we can hear.
Now you can see how this
Selective laser sintering, or SLS, is a rapid prototyping technology that turns 3D CAD data into physical parts in a matter of hours. SLS is an additive manufacturing technology that uses powdered nylon 11, nylon 12, and PEEK materials. Parts produced are lightweight, highly durable, and both heat and chemical resistant, making SLS an excellent choice for producing production parts without the expense of tooling. The SLS process begins by splitting 3D CAD data into thin cross-sections or layers. The data is then transferred to the SLS additive manufacturing equipment. The machine then begins to create the first layer. After a leveling roller spreads a thin layer of powdered material across the powder bed, a CO2 laser traces the cross-section on the material. As the laser scans the surface, material is heated and fused together. Once a single layer is complete, the powder bed is lowered to make room for the next layer. More material is introduced from the powder cartridge and rolled out smooth, while unused material is recycled. The process is repeated, building layer upon layer until the part is complete. As SLS parts are built, they are encompassed by unsintered powder, which provides supplemental strength and eliminates the need for support structures. Complex designs and assemblies, once thought impossible, are now being redesigned with SLS as cost-effective integrated parts. Solid Concept manufactures parts utilizing nylon with property-enhancing fillers to create rugged SLS parts suitable for a variety of prototype and production applications. Typical uses for SLS include tools and fixtures, fuel tanks, flight-rated components for unmanned aerial vehicles, automotive designs, air ducts, architectural models, and artistic sculptures.
Right? So all these processes coming into the category of additive manufacturing. First one, we have seen this stereolithography where we have used the liquid resins. Second one is this SLS, where we are going to use this powder form raw material. Then the third term, which is the most commonly used nowadays, that is called molten material systems. This is also termed as FDM, fused deposition modeling system. You can see this. This is the most commonly used type of 3D printer, and have a variety type of usage, because what we have to do, we need to understand the melting temperature of the material, and we need to have one nozzle which can bear that temperature. So material is coming in contact with the heat source, heat element, it gets melted, and then it is coming out from the nozzle and it is creating layer by layer objects. Sometimes there are machines available where instead of one extrusion, one nozzle, you can use multiple 2 nozzles also, just to give some different colors material usage. If you want to use 2 different color materials, 2 different type of materials, then you can use 2 different nozzles also. So this is molten material system, which is most commonly used 3D printer. The 3D printer which I am using is also the same type. So let's go to see this video again. Sorry for this system, so that you will.
Fused deposition modeling, or FDM, is a layer additive manufacturing process that uses production-grade thermoplastic materials to produce both prototype and end-use parts. This technology is known to accurately produce feature details and has an excellent strength-to-weight ratio. FDM is ideal for concept models, functional prototypes, manufacturing aids, and low-volume end-use parts. The FDM process begins by slicing 3D CAD data into layers. The data is then transferred to a machine, which constructs the part layer by layer upon a build platform. Thin thread-like spools of thermoplastic and support material are used to create each cross-section of the part. Similar to a hot melt glue gun, uncoiled material is slowly extruded through dual heated nozzles. The extrusion nozzles precisely lay down both support and thermoplastic material upon the preceding layers. The extrusion nozzle continues to move in a horizontal XY plane while the build platform moves down, building the part layer by layer. The finished part is removed from the build platform and cleaned of its support material. Raw FDM parts have visible layer lines. However, service providers such as Solid Concepts offer multiple finishing options to create smooth, even surface parts, including hand sanding, assembly, and cosmetic paint. Since FDM parts are constructed with production-grade thermoplastics, including ABS, polycarbonate, and Ultem, they are both functional and durable. FDM is utilized in a number of industries, including aerospace, automotive, industrial, commercial, and medical.
So FDM is the technology which is being used by many of the industries. That is the most commonly used methods in terms of additive manufacturing. Because we only need to have one metal with the data for the melting temperature, and then we can start. Not everything, even metals 3D printers are also, though it's very expensive, but yes, it is up. The fourth type of additive manufacturing process is called solid sheet system. That is called laminated LOM, laminated object manufacturing. What is the process of this one? we are keeping this sheets one over it, and with the help of again laser cut, we are going to cut the shape, or we are going to cut the shape and then paste sheet one over each other, adding the material. Layers are bonded together using a heat activated resins. So automatically it is going to be solids. But again, it is creating with the help of layers. And then this, you can see this cross-hatched material, this can easily remove, and this will be my final output. So this is called solid sheet system, which is also known as laminated object manufacturing. So let's watch a small video for it also, so that it will be easy for us to understand.
Shutterstock Music. Shutterstock Music. Shutterstock Music. Shutterstock Music. Shutterstock Music. Shutterstock Music.
Right. So I hope all these four processes are clear to everyone. That's why I have included this small video in this video, so that once we will see the actual working of the machine, then it will be easy for us to understand instead of right. So I hope it is clear. What is the difference between stereolithography? What is the difference between powder form methods used? Laminated object. Yes. Sir, your voice is not coming. There's a lot of disturbance. If you want, you can check your question in. You can type your question in chat box. Okay. So I believe that all these processes, including with this basic procedure of additive manufacturing, everything is clear. Now I'm coming to my last slides of the presentation. What are the different applications of additive manufacturing? The first one is the functional models. If you want to create any functional model, maybe any small toy or any functional model of your design, you can create. Pattern for investment and vacuum casting. Because mold making is very expensive process, you can create some prototype and you can start analyzing, okay, that can be beneficial or not. Medical models, art models, engineering analysis models, rapid tooling, new material development, bimetallic parts, remanufacturing if you want to use. And there are a lot of application examples of aerospace, defense, automobile, general industries. So whatever the industries you can think of, you can start using this technology for any type of innovations. So I'm going to show you some of the images. See, perfume bottles, some cast metal or this type of object which is always being manufactured with the help of castings. You can use, you can create these, manufacture these parts with the help of 3D printing, some machine components, or some part of jewelry, or SLA model of patient's facial details. So for all these things, only one basic prerequisite you need to have, the CAD file. That's all. Rest procedure is, because if you know how to get this CAD file, you can easily convert that into STL, and remaining process you can easily do. So design is important. If you want to design, you can design. If you want to import, you want to take from the standard websites, you can download. But again, it will be difficult for you to customize that design, because that will be created in some other formats, some other different tools. So in the next session, yes, we will be started working on the designs. That's all from my side for today's this session, introduction of additive manufacturing. If you have any questions, please let me know. Anyone is having any questions?
Hello.
Yes, please.
Hello, sir. Why don't we see this laminated object manufacturing machines very commonly in manufacturing areas?
So again, you need to understand the process. Okay, let me go to this. Which process we normally adopt, which is quite flexible. The process which is having minimum number of limitations, right? If you see this one, the technology used to laser to cut out profiles from sheet paper supplied from continuous roll, which forms the layers. Again, you need to have a heat activated resin that was coated on the surface of the paper. Definitely, you can use it. Many of the industries are still using it, but the most common additive manufacturing method is being used. This one. Just a second. FDM. Because as I already told you, what are the different things you need? Only a heat source, only a temperature generation device, so that your whatever the metal or whatever the material, whatever the raw things you are going to use, that should be melted, and it can be created layers by layers through pasting. Nothing extra arrangements is needed. I need a material spool, I need a heat element and nozzle. Nozzle, yes, nozzle material we need to take care that machine manufacturer is going to take, so that it can bear the temperature of this. That's why this is the most common additive manufacturing processes right now. Even as I already told you, this IIT Madras, they have also used the same technology. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Any other question, please? Anyone? Okay. If there is no other question, then let's discuss something related to the new session. Yes. I think next session for design is on Wednesday, if I'm correct. Right. So for that, I'm not sure whether have you ever experienced with any of the designing tool or not. So I would request to at least visit Autodesk website, or you can simply search Fusion 360, because the first we need to install the software, which is again very small. This is the smallest software available in the market. It's not even 1 GB. It's something 800 MB software. So be ready with your system. The only one condition is applied here is your system must be 64-bit operating system. That is also not a condition, because now everybody is using 64-bit operating system. So in next session, we will be installing the software and we will be started the design concept. After that, you will be designing anything, and then if you want, I will print for you. I hope this is the entire agenda. And in the last session, yes, I will be telling you some of the very innovative technology very best technology available, that is called generative design, where artificial intelligence is coming into the picture in helping you to design anything good, just to make your product more sustainable. I hope it is clear. If you have any questions, if you have any inputs, you are free to ask anything. From my side, that's all for today's session. Over to you, Dr. Please. Dr.
Thank you, sir, for next session.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Amit, please share the link for attendance. Participants, so Mr. Rajesh will continue the lecture tomorrow, and the next session will be delivered by Dr. Deepak Singh. So we will meet again at 2:30. So you can lead the meeting after the attendance.
Meanwhile, while giving the attendance, if anybody want to ask anything, please, you can ask.
So can you just repeat the instruction that you have given session?
Instructions. Okay, can you please come again?
So the instruction that like you have asked to install the software and all. So
Yes, I don't worry. I'm telling you the entire procedure tomorrow. I just want you to explore the Fusion 360 whenever you have time in the evening. Just go and Google search for Autodesk Fusion 360. So you will be having some basic idea. Tomorrow in the first session, I will be telling you the entire procedure, how you can install the Fusion 360. Right? It's a cloud-based technology. I will tell you everything in detail. The only requirement from my side is please be with your system if you are having any desktop or laptop with 64-bit operating system. Be ready with that, and we will install the technology in your system.
okay.
Anybody else is having any doubt?
There is a question in chat box.
Oh, yes. Whether houses can be built with this technology? Yes, sir. This has already been done by IT Chennai. I'll show you the video, or if you want, you can search into the YouTube also. I'll share you the complete case study with you.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else?
Sir, very good afternoon. I just want to ask
Yes.
one question.
Yeah, please.
Sir, does the post-processing differ from the different techniques we are using? I mean, for example, if we are using LOM, FDM, so does the post-processing techniques vary from one of the different techniques?
See, what are the different steps we are doing in post-process? Okay, let me do. Techniques may be different, because if you want to get some very finished or very very smooth surface finish, then definitely you need to use some chemicals, right? If you simply want to manage the surface finish by your hand or by any human touch, then you can use the sandpaper. Those are the techniques for post-processing. So let me go to that slide. See, can you see my slide?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The stages of finishing the part for application purposes. That is the only object. Because printing, once the printing is done, maybe some misalignment is there with the bag. So some extra material is lying on the side, or some extra material is attached to some other part of your component. You need to remove all those abrasives, and then if you want, you can use some chemicals to clean that up, or you can use the sandpaper rubbing and application of different coatings also. That is the only, because those may be different as per the usage of your